What if the greatest discovery in human history did not arrive as a clear transmission, a majestic spacecraft, or a signal from deep space, but as a silent inspection of our forgotten garbage in orbit? Something transpired above Earth that forced scientists to question everything they thought they understood about physics, gravity, and the fundamental structure of reality itself. According to multiple global observatories, an interstellar visitor designated 3IATLAS did not simply pass through our solar system. Instead, it interacted with humanity in a way no natural space object should ever be capable of doing. Deep inside the European Space Operations Center in Darmstadt, Germany, the shift began like any other routine night. The facility was calm, sterile, and quiet, filled with the steady hum of computer servers and the cool glow of telemetry screens. A senior orbital dynamicist named Klaus Werner sat alone, reviewing historical satellite drift patterns in the graveyard orbit, a distant region packed with inactive spacecraft and decades of abandoned human technology. His immediate focus rested on Cosmos 148, a Soviet-era satellite that had been tumbling silently through the dark since the Cold War. It was routine, predictable work, and his mind had already drifted toward the quiet train ride home. Then, the impossible happened without warning. The James Webb Space Telescope detected an intense thermal bloom near the leading edge of 3IATLAS. The sudden energy spike was so extreme that several tracking sensors briefly saturated. Before analysts could process the anomaly, a concentrated beam of coherent electromagnetic energy erupted from the object with a measured output estimated at 33 billion joules. The beam struck Cosmos 148 directly, but the dead satellite did not explode into thousands of fragments as orbital debris normally would. It did not scatter randomly into space. Instead, its entire flight trajectory changed instantly. The object appeared to stop tumbling and stabilized as though an external force had corrected its motion with impossible precision, making the laws of inertia seem to bend in real time. Moments later, a rhythmic pulse spread outward from the interaction zone, repeating in exact mathematical intervals. The sequence carried harmonic structures so precise that researchers compared them to resonance frequencies found in theoretical models of space-time geometry. Inside the operations center, Klaus stared at his monitor while his coffee mug slipped from his hand and shattered across the floor. He barely noticed the noise, because every screen in front of him displayed the exact same terrifying conclusion. 3IATLAS had not destroyed the old satellite, but had systematically examined it. That realization spread through international observatories within minutes. Analysts reviewing the high-resolution telemetry noticed something deeply unsettling hidden inside the energy bloom. For a brief few seconds after contact, dormant electronic systems aboard the dead Soviet satellite reactivated. Circuits that had remained cold and silent for decades suddenly carried organized signal activity before shutting down once more. Physicists immediately connected the event to advanced theories surrounding information preservation and quantum state recovery, which state that information in the universe is never truly destroyed, only transformed. If that principle holds true, then 3IATLAS may have extracted residual operational data directly from the dead hardware. In simple terms, the object had interrogated our technology, and the implications grew far more disturbing from there as analysts realized this was no random cosmic collision. Top officials and space agency analysts quickly initiated emergency classified briefings after identifying the likely source of the immense energy involved. Preliminary assessments suggested the beam drawn by 3IATLAS utilized quantum vacuum fluctuations, commonly known in theoretical physics as zero-point energy. This implied the object was actively extracting power from the fabric of empty space itself, a feat humanity has theorized about for decades but never achieved. The precision, timing, and energy control clearly indicated deliberate intent. Some researchers now believe 3IATLAS views our orbital debris not as random junk, but as a dangerous contamination interfering with a much larger construction process unfolding near Mars. Shortly after the initial beam strike, the Vera Rubin Observatory detected gravitational distortions forming around the interaction site. Tiny Einstein rings began appearing where no natural mass was strong enough to create them, warping space so that light bent unnaturally around the region. Tracking systems monitoring 3IATLAS then reported sudden positional jumps that are impossible under known propulsion methods. One moment, the object appeared stationary, and the next it had shifted nearly 100,000 miles without traversing the space in between, behaving less like a moving comet and more like a system phasing between locations. Furthermore, the strange beam had not only altered the dead Soviet satellite, but had fundamentally changed the space surrounding it. Latest measurements revealed that the laws of time inside that local region were no longer behaving normally. Inside the European Operations Center, Klaus Werner remained frozen in front of his monitor as emergency alerts flashed across internal systems. Scientists shifted their entire attention toward the growing anomaly around Cosmos 148, where extreme redshift readings indicated that space was expanding at two separate rates simultaneously. The effect resembled gravitational time dilation near a massive black hole, yet no heavy object was present. Researchers calculated a terrifying distortion ratio. 1 hour inside the anomaly corresponded to nearly 7 years in Earth's orbital environment. Time inside this isolated prosecution zone was moving dramatically slower than the rest of the solar system, a clear sign of metric space-time engineering far beyond human capability. The deeper researchers looked, the stranger the underlying physics became. The object appeared to generate a frame-dragging effect, twisting space-time around itself without requiring a physical gravitational singularity. To sustain such a distortion, 3IATLAS needed access to negative energy densities, something humans have only written about in theoretical equations involving wormholes. Telemetry confirmed the debris from Cosmos 148 was being safely stored inside this slow-time region. This triggered a chilling theory behind closed doors. The satellite was deliberately collected for detailed analysis. The anomaly functioned like a temporal processing chamber where the intelligence behind 3IATLAS could examine every circuit, transmission, and data fragment from decades of human technology while only minutes passed for observers on Earth. For humanity, the event had lasted a few hours, but for the entity controlling the object, the audit may have already spanned centuries. The atmosphere in observatories worldwide shifted from curiosity to profound dread, as scientists realized 3IATLAS was methodically cataloging human civilization through our abandoned machines. Sensors monitoring the temporal bubble soon detected intense gamma-ray emissions pulsing at frequencies matching higher-dimensional mathematical models, suggesting a structured, deliberate, and sequential process was underway. Sensors around the world continued to log unprecedented activity as nuclear particle detectors began reporting anomalous data. CERN and the IceCube Observatory recorded unexplained frequency shifts inside incoming neutrino streams linked directly to the slow-time anomaly. These ghost-like particles, which typically pass through entire planets undisturbed, suddenly exhibited acceleration patterns that no existing physical model could explain. The changes intensified over time, suggesting that the environment around the slow-time bubble was evolving rapidly into a new phase. Analysts warned that this evolution might represent a direct transition from passive observation to active judgment. The slow-time zone surrounding the satellite debris began contracting inward, growing significantly denser, while its time dilation ratio increased dramatically. Scientists estimated that the ratio could soon jump from 7 years per hour to hundreds of years per hour. To human observers, the site appeared a glowing, silent region drifting through space, but internally, entire ages of structural and technological analysis were unfolding in moments. Meanwhile, 3IATLAS continued harvesting zero-point energy from the vacuum while steadily progressing toward the orbit of Mars, utilizing the anomaly as both a storage vault and a processing engine. As the object moved deeper into the solar system, the global scientific community hovered between intense obsession and outright panic. The event was no longer an isolated incident, but a massive process so advanced that researchers admitted humanity lacked the vocabulary to properly describe it. Data showed the anomaly was no longer just analyzing information, but encoding it directly into the geometry of space-time. Analysts compared the bubble's outer surface to holographic physics models, which suggests three-dimensional reality can be fully represented on a two-dimensional boundary. The gravitational distortion had begun carrying stable mathematical patterns, matching historical electromagnetic transmissions from Earth. Decades of satellite communications, military radar, weather data, and early analog radio broadcasts were being systematically embedded into the spatial curvature around the anomaly. Instead of destroying our history, 3IATLAS was converting human orbital debris into a permanent holographic record, preserving every discarded circuit and broadcast as raw material for a larger informational structure. Shortly after this realization, CERN detected a massive burst of gamma-ray activity spreading from the anomaly in repeating harmonic intervals. These transmissions carried complex, adaptive data layers beneath the primary waveform. When quantum computing systems attempted to decode the signals, they became unstable because the information actively reorganized itself based on the analysis method used. Standard binary systems produced incomplete outputs, while quantum processors generated geometric models referencing multidimensional coordinate systems well outside our solar system. The slow-time bubble contracted further, raising the dilation ratio so high that 1 hour inside now equaled roughly 70 years outside. The IceCube Observatory confirmed that incoming neutrino streams had aligned into a coherent directional tunnel trailing behind 3IATLAS like a wake through space. Simultaneously, the Vera Rubin telescope captured Einstein rings forming around completely empty regions of space along the object's trajectory, proving that an invisible presence was shaping gravity and unfolding localized dimensional corridors. The discovery of invisible gravitational structures forced high-level military and scientific briefings to pivot away from analyzing physics and toward determining ultimate intent. Researchers began asking why an advanced entity would systematically archive human data, preserve orbital debris, and carry that information directly toward Mars. A dominant theory emerged suggesting that 3IATLAS was constructing a permanent gateway near the Martian orbital region, using the encoded data gathered from Earth to calibrate the process. The harmonic signals embedded within the anomaly matched theoretical synchronization patterns designed to stabilize space-time distortions across different gravitational environments, meaning human technology was actively serving as the blueprint to build a cosmic bridge. That concept became even more unsettling when deep space monitoring arrays detected atmospheric synchronization patterns spreading across Earth itself. Precise atomic clocks around the world registered microscopic phase drift, while global communication satellites suffered coordinated timing errors during major transmission pulses. Unexplained harmonic fluctuations matching the pulse frequencies of 3IATLAS were logged across electrical power grids, proving the signal was no longer confined to space. Senior dynamicists warned during leaked briefings that humanity was not facing an alien invasion or traditional first contact, but rather the automated deployment of planetary infrastructure designed to integrate our civilization into a vast cosmic network. As 3IATLAS reached the outer influence of Mars, scientists stopped referring to the event as an anomaly. The phenomenon was simply too vast, structured, and deliberate to fit within standard scientific frameworks. The final stage of activation began in the magnetic environment of Mars, where orbiting probes recorded magnetic fluctuations pulsing in exact 23-second synchronization with 3IATLAS. Soon after, gravitational sensors monitored a stable, highly symmetrical gateway structure forming near the edge of Mars's shadow. The geometry did not collapse, but instead expanded slowly as space folded inward around a fixed spatial point. Inside major research centers, emergency sessions ran continuously to map the observed telemetry against equations involving higher dimensional physics and string theory. The data indicated that 3IATLAS was utilizing hidden spatial dimensions as functional transit infrastructure, meaning the object had been linked to a much larger interstellar network long before entering our solar system. Earth itself was becoming increasingly entangled with this network as global systems continued to resonate with the object's rhythmic pulses. Radio telescopes detected harmonic echoes bouncing through Earth's ionosphere even when pointed away from 3IATLAS, behaving like timing instructions calibrating the planet in real time. Then, an event occurred that permanently altered humanity's understanding of the universe. Deep space monitoring stations recorded identical spatial distortions as background stars behind Mars shifted positions simultaneously. Space bent around the emerging gateway as an immense, unseen presence passed through the higher dimensional region behind it, leaving a gravitational footprint far larger than 3IATLAS itself. That gravitational anomaly completely shattered the assumption that 3IATLAS was an isolated probe wandering through our solar system. The sheer magnitude of the energy signature confirmed that a massive presence was operating on the other side of the Martian gateway, fully aware of the spatial link being established. Fear spread rapidly through international defense and space agencies as researchers abandoned the idea that this was an ordinary space vehicle. The evidence pointed toward a civilization-scale network designed to connect star systems through engineered space-time corridors. Humanity was not watching an alien visitor travel across distance, but was witnessing the automated activation of dormant cosmic infrastructure. Historical records, satellite debris, and atmospheric signals had all been gathered in a clear, procedural sequence to link Earth to this network. The interrogation of Cosmos 148, the temporal containment zone, and the holographic encoding of human data were simply operational steps required to align our planet with the gateway's parameters. As the gateway near Mars fully stabilized, the slow-time anomaly surrounding the original satellite debris vanished from Earth's orbit, having been completely integrated into the primary channel stretching toward the red planet. Observatories tracking the region around Mars noted that the local space-time curvature had settled into a permanent state of equilibrium. The region no longer exhibited erratic jumps or violent energy spikes, but instead maintained a steady, self-sustaining field powered by continuous zero-point energy extraction. The spatial tunnel trailing behind 3IATLAS now formed a direct, highly stable bridge between Earth's orbital path and the Martian gateway site. Global technological systems on Earth began to stabilize as well, though they remained locked into the pulse frequency of the distant gateway. The microscopic phase drift in atomic clocks became a constant baseline, effectively resynchronizing planetary timekeeping to a cosmic standard. Researchers realized that Earth's electromagnetic environment had been permanently altered, subtly tuned to receive and transmit data through the higher dimensional network now anchored at Mars. The entire sequence of events, from the initial beam strike on a forgotten Soviet satellite to the structural folding of space near Mars, had taken less than 2 days to complete, demonstrating an absolute mastery over gravity, time, and matter. Scientists analyzing the final stream of telemetry concluded that the intelligence behind 3IATLAS did not view humanity as an enemy or a peer, but simply as a newly active node within a pre-existing galactic system. The process was entirely impersonal, highly efficient, and completely indifferent to human political structures or scientific paradigms. The galactic bridge was open, fully calibrated using our own historical data, and anchored right on our cosmic doorstep, fundamentally redefining humanity's place in the universe forever. The realization that our planet has been successfully integrated into a hyper-advanced cosmic network marks the end of human isolation and the beginning of an entirely unwritten era. Every piece of data collected from 3IATLAS proves that the universe is not an empty, silent void, but an interconnected web of engineered space-time pathways waiting for local civilizations to reach a specific technological threshold. By interacting with our space debris and encoding our historical broadcasts into the gateway's architecture, 3IATLAS used humanity's own footprint to complete the link. The quiet garbage in our orbit, once considered useless trash from a bygone space race, ultimately served as the key that unlocked the largest structural transition in human history. The gateway at Mars stands as an active monument to physics we are only beginning to comprehend, operating continuously on zero-point energy and higher dimensional geometry. Earth now hums in precise harmonic resonance with this distant structure, its global networks permanently aligned with a system that spans far beyond our solar system. We are no longer passive observers looking out at distant stars through telescopes, but participants in a vast, automated framework that treats dimensions as highways and space-time as malleable code. The intelligence behind this network has made no formal speeches, issued no demands, and sent no ships to our surface, because the establishment of the infrastructure was the message itself. As scientists continue to monitor the steady, rhythmic pulses emanating from the Martian gateway, one overwhelming truth remains undeniable. The boundary between theoretical physics and reality has dissolved forever. The universe has officially acknowledged our existence, cataloged our history, and connected our world to a broader reality that was waiting for us all along. The ultimate question is no longer whether we are alone, but what will happen when something finally steps through the bridge we helped build. If you found this deep dive into the mysteries of space and reality fascinating, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Share your thoughts in the comments below about what you think is waiting on the other side of the Martian gateway, and we will see you in the next video.